Today, we will recap the movie Iron Man 2. This movie starts when Tony Stark announces in front of media that he is Iron Man. Then we are taken to a strange person whose name is Ivan Vanko, whose father, Anton Vanko, is on his deathbed. He was partner of Howard Stark and a founding member of Stark Industries. Vanko wanted to make money with this technology, selling it to wrong people, but Stark didn't let him do that. He framed Vanko for spying and exiled him from the country, taking all the credit for designing the arc reactor himself. Tony Stark became quite famous as a superhero. He saved his country from various threats, but the government saw his suit as a weapon and wanted Tony to hand over his technology to the military. However, Tony refused to sell his technology to the government. During this time, Tony discovers that the arc reactor in his chest is causing blood poisoning. The reactor was powered by an element called palladium. However, slowly, poison was spreading in his body from this palladium, and no element other than palladium could power that reactor. It means the reactor that was preventing the fragments of the arc reactor bomb from entering his heart was now poisoning him, and using Tony's Iron Man suit was worsen the poisoning. He didn't tell anyone about his condition, and upon seeing his coming death, Tony started behaving strangely. He made his assistant Pepper Potts the owner of his company and hired a new assistant for himself. One day, Tony participates in a car racing competition, but suddenly Vanko arrives in his armor and attacks Tony lethally. Tony then wears his portable suit and stops him, and Vanko is arrested. Later, when Tony goes to meet him in jail, he learns the reality of Vanko. But Tony makes a mistake here. He tells Vanko the shortcomings of his reactor and how to fix it. On the other hand, Justin Hammer, the competitor of Stark Industries, is delighted with Vanko's action and gets him released from jail. He keeps Vanko in his company so that he can help him create a suit like Iron Man and sell it to the government. Meanwhile, Tony, on his birthday, indulges in heavy drinking and showcases his armor. To stop Tony, his friend Rhodey wears one of Tony's old armors. They have a small fight, and in the end, Rhodey takes the armor and leaves. Although no one could use his armor without Tony's consent, Tony had unlocked his system for Rhodey before the fear of death, so he was able to use his armor. Because Rhodey was a military officer, the government got hold of the Iron Man suit through him. The military upgrades this armor with Justin Hammer, and it is now called the War Machine armor. On the other hand, Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., meets Tony and tells him that his new assistant is actually a spy named Natasha Romanoff. Nick Fury had sent Natasha to keep an eye on Tony because he was doing some questionable activities. Nick Fury wanted to save Tony from palladium poisoning. He tells Tony that his father, Howard Stark, was a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, S.H.I.E.L.D. had some old items of his, which could be used for Tony's treatment. He gives Tony a suitcase containing a video recording of his father. In that video, there was a secret message that Tony understands. When Howard Stark created the arc reactor, he had hidden the new element needed to power it, and that hidden element was the key to curing Tony's palladium poisoning. A new element was also designed for it. However, due to a lack of technology, they couldn't create that element at that time. Therefore, they used palladium in the arc reactor. But Howard Stark knew that one day his son would be able to create that element. That's why he hid the atomic structure of that element as part of his exhibition. Tony, understanding the design of that exhibition, created the new element at his home. When he replaced palladium with this new element in his arc reactor, the reactor became perfect, and now Tony was free from palladium poisoning. Vanko improves his architecture in the way Tony instructed him and prepares a new suit. When he calls Tony and threatens him, Tony realizes that Vanko is working with Justin Hammer. Meanwhile, Justin Hammer presents his new drones and upgraded armor of Rhodey to everyone. Tony arrives there to interrogate him. However, Vanko hacks all the drones and Rhodey's armor, attacking Tony. Tony starts taking the drones away from the public and begins to destroy them. In the meantime, Justin Hammer is arrested, and Natasha Romanoff, also known as Black Widow, goes to Hammer Industries to capture Vanko. But he escapes. Natasha somehow manages to reset and fix Rhodey's armor. After that, Tony and Rhodey face all the drones and Vanko, defeating him. However, in his final attempt to kill Tony, he blasts his suit and gets killed. In the end, Nick Fury meets Tony. They discuss the Avengers initiative and decide that Tony is not ready to join the Avengers team because of his erratic behavior. For now, he is made an advisor to S.H.I.E.L.D. In the post-credits scene, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Phil Coulson arrives in New Mexico. There, he sees a large hammer in a field. This hammer is Thor's, and its story is shown in the Thor movie.
Preview.